It's official. Real Housewives of Potomac star Karen Huger has been released from jail. But there's some mixed reactions from fans. And does this mean that this opens the door for Karen to return in season 10 of The Real Housewives of Potomac?
Here we go now.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Don't forget, the final show of our summer tour, The Kempire After Dark, The Villain Era, will be hitting New York City on September 12th. That is next Friday. But this is a special show. Not only do we have meet and greets, we also have a live stream option. So no matter where you are in the world, you will be able to watch the show live or the replay for 1 week after the show. Ticket information is available in the description. We will be talking about hot topics like this one and so much more. That's also where a lot of tea is spilled. The Brooke Ashley will be our hostess with the mostest of the night. So, Real Housewives of Potomac, and I know Brooke has some tea to spill when it comes to Potomac, so shout out to those of you that will be in attendance at the live show. But as you know, it was just last week we were talking about the trailer that came out for the new season of The Real Housewives of Potomac. I literally just saw a video that Bravo put out in regards to the newbies Tia and Angel that will be joining the show. Based on what we could see, I was like, okay, they seem interesting enough. But there's been so much speculation on whether or not Karen Huger will be a part of season 10 because they are technically still filming, meaning that they're filming their confessionals right now, but the season seems to be basically wrapped up and they're going to be premiering in October, which is right around the corner. It's next month. However, as you saw at the end of last season, it ended with Karen not being a part of the reunion and her just sending in a video saying that she would return no longer as the Grande Dame. And she ended up being sentenced to 2 years in jail. However, only having to serve one with 1 year suspended. As you can see, she only served 6 months for her 4th DUI. And I think part of the reason why the judge was so hard on Karen was because this wasn't her first DUI. This wasn't her second. And this wasn't her third. There was no way that this judge, especially with the amount of eyes on this case, when she got those other DUIs, we didn't know Karen. But how many years later she had the same situation happen again? So let me just give you an update in regards to what TMZ is reporting. The Jasmine brand initially reported in their exclusive last week that Karen Huger was going to be released from jail on September 2nd. So let's give them their kudos. Their tea was correct. So often people like to call people out when their tea is incorrect, but let's give them their credit when tea is correct. So they write this in regards to Karen being released. They said Karen Huger has been released from prison after being found guilty of a DUI. TMZ has learned there was actual footage of Karen leaving the prison. And you can see the footage of her, and she's actually rolls down the window and she waves to the fans that were out there, fans and press that were waiting outside of the prison. The Montgomery County Detention Center in Maryland tells TMZ Huger was released Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern after she served 6 months behind bars. The Real Housewives of Potomac star is getting out of the clink 6 months earlier than expected. Having been convicted on 7 of 8 charges prosecutors brought against her, including DUI, negligent driving, failing to control her vehicle's speed to avoid a collision, and more. Moving forward, Karen won't be allowed to be behind the wheel for a year. So starting today, she will not be allowed to be behind the wheel. I don't know if that could change, very much like her prison sentence and ended up being shorter, but I doubt it. They said she won't be allowed to be behind the wheel of a car for a year. She also served 5 years of supervised probation upon release, with an interlock device required once she's cleared to drive again. We saw this similar with Shannon from Real Housewives of Orange County. She had that system in her car, and we learned a lot in regards to that system. That system is very challenging to drive with. At Karen's big age of 60-something years old, look, she's had a driver before. I would just have a driver going forward. But the bigger issue here is, does Karen have an issue with alcohol? If this is your 4th DUI, I think the answer is yes. Despite all of what, and this was part of my frustration with Karen at the end of last season, it was the fact that, yes, we understand she was in the middle of a case and she really couldn't talk about it and she really couldn't take ownership. However, even when she was convicted and she put out that video, it was just sort of like, she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. And that's why you see the judge was so frustrated with her. It's like, you don't get it. You knew that this body cam footage was out there. And I don't believe anyone's going to tell me that Karen did not know the body cam footage was there. Even if she didn't, you know who was there at the time and seeing how ridiculous you looked? Was Ray. So I'm sure he told you, this doesn't look good for you, but you still decided to take this to court. And of course, this is why you got what you got. I don't know what she would have gotten, again, because this was still her fourth DUI. I don't know what she would have gotten if she had just said, you know what, let me just face the music and plead guilty. I don't know what she would have gotten. Some people might say she still got off pretty nicely because she did not serve the full year. Hopefully 6 months was enough to wake Karen up to the issues that she has with drinking. So they said that she'll have probation will switch to unsupervised after 3 years. So they said she'll serve 5 years of supervised probation upon release with an interlock device required once she's cleared to drive again. If there aren't any violations, probation will switch to unsupervised after 3 years. So she cannot get in any kind of trouble in the next 5 years. Any kind of trouble. It doesn't mean just drinking and driving. She cannot get into any kind of trouble for the next 5 years. TMZ broke the story that Huger's March 2024 crash in Potomac, Maryland went down when she struck a median and crosswalk sign at an intersection before slamming into a parking sign and coming to a stop just off the roadway. Body cam footage played for the jury shows Huger being questioned by cops after the collision. Not only that, we saw what happened at the collision. We saw what she was saying to the police officer as they were driving her to the police station. Then we got to see the interrogation when she was being interrogated, where she said that she was Thomas Jefferson's concubine. Yeah. So fans were in attendance as Karen was leaving. And as I said to you before, she waved to everyone on her way out. But take a listen to what one of the fans that were there, you might be surprised what they had to say about Karen serving this time.
Just as a human, I was actually happy that she did get jail time because it was her fourth DUI, and that's very serious and very scary, and someone could have been hurt. So unlike a lot of her fans, I thought the sentence was correct for what she did.
And I'm glad that was said on camera. She said this to the news and network that were there at the time. We can all appreciate, because I'm happy Karen's home. I'm happy that she served her time. But it doesn't change the fact that what she did, I took very seriously. And I know some people people do this all the time, and some of you may have done this, but she's very lucky that no one was hurt. But the importance here is that this wasn't her first DUI. Yes, people make mistakes. This was her fourth. And she's very lucky that she didn't take someone's life, because that will be hard to live with. I hope we see a real change in Karen, and I'm sure we will see something at the end of next season, because the trailer is Giselle writing a letter to Karen. And word on the street is that they did film with Karen's friends. So it wouldn't shock me at the end of the season that there's some sort of one-on-one with Andy Cohen. So we do have an update in regards to whether or not Karen Huger and her release will be filmed for season 10 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. And according to Matthew Torres, a journalist, he's confirming production crews for Bravo is also at the prison capturing the moments of Karen Huger's release. We were told she's getting her hair and makeup done before she goes back home. And if you see the photos of her as she exits and she's waving to the fans and the journalists that are outside, she clearly had makeup, and I don't know if she had a wig on or anything like that, because she had a scarf over her head. But yeah, so I don't know how anyone feels about that. But part of me is sort of like, oh God, hopefully she's learned her lesson. But only time will tell. I understand Bravo has a story to tell. They want to round out, they start off the season probably talking about Karen going to prison. So they want to include it, especially because now she's being released as they are still filming. I don't know. She can even show up to the reunion and maybe answer for some of the things that she didn't answer for during the last reunion. However, the other caveat here, Karen in her, I forgot what it was to the court, I guess for them to give her a lesser sentence. The situation, she blamed being a leader on Real Housewives of Potomac as to part of the reason why she increased her meds, why she was drinking more. She blamed them as one of the reasons why she had to do those things. So coming back into this environment, I know so many people want Katie to come back, and I always say, this is not a safe, healthy environment for Katie if she's going through recovery. The same can be said for Karen. I love Karen. I think Karen is fantastic on the show. However, if it's not good for her mental or her possible addiction, then I'm just happy she's home and she can be with her family. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on Karen Huger has been released from prison. Let's continue this conversation in the comment section. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.
Here we go now.